Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. And in one day, we added $10 billion to the cryptocurrency market. Right now, the market cap is holding at about $211.3 billion. Okay, and we've seen impressive gains from a lot of the top cryptocurrencies. Right now, Bitcoin trading at 74.20, up 4.39%. Ethereum trading at 174, up 13.44%. And XRP trading at 0.203, up 8.48%, guys. And you can see a sea of green in the crypto space. This is great, but will it be short-lived? Is this just a flash in the pan before another correction? We broke out of this bearish pennant pattern with this candlestick yesterday, and it looks as if we are going to continue this trajectory upward. So take a look at this on the hourly. This is XRP on the hourly, and we hit 25, or rather 0.205 overnight. XRP rebounding and almost hit that new high just a few minutes ago. So part of that has to do with the fact that the stock market yesterday did fairly well. We are rebounding and close to a new high in this bullish rally upward after this severe, significant plummet from last month. So are we going to continue to see crypto rise? Very good question. We have Bitcoin here also coming out of that slump. Right now basing in this zone here, trading at 74.15. And to be honest, it's not too far to go to get back up to where we were, to get back up to that 10,000 per BTC mark. 2020 and 2021 were supposed to be very bullish years for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto space. If you look at the trends, if you look at the halving coming up, all signs are pointing to a bullish crypto market. And now with this pandemic and the economy in shambles, we might see that help propel cryptocurrency to new heights in 2020 and into 2021. And Ripple's ODL numbers are also significantly higher. So this from AMB Crypto. The liquidity index bot is showing that the XRP Mexican corridor and the XRP Australian corridor are showing new highs since that slump that we saw last month. So during the significant part of the crash, we saw a lot of businesses and individuals, I suppose, pumping the brakes on sending money via ODL. And now throughout the last week of March and into early April, which is where we are now, we saw a significant rise for the Mexico corridor, also the Australian corridor, and other corridors as well. Here's the Filipino corridor, and you can see that trend is similar on all the charts. That bit of a slump and then an uptick, bit of a slump, then an uptick, bit of a slump, then an uptick. So money is flowing through XRP once again. Doesn't mean that we have rebounded, far from it. Nevertheless, Ripple is expanding XRP product roadmap. Crypto startup hints at future with 3 new job openings. And so Ripple's looking for a director of product management at Spring. Ripple's XRP focused fundraising and development arm. The job application indicates Spring is looking to expand its role in growing the XRP ecosystem. Whoever fills the position will need to lead the Spring vision and identify strategic product opportunities to delight developers and to grow product adoption. So says Ripple, this role sits at the heart of defining Spring's project strategy in close partnership with leadership and engineering. You will own the product roadmap and help us define our future. You will look beyond what already exists in the market to serve its evolving needs. The company is also looking for a product manager to helm the cross-functional team responsible for building a robust global developer ecosystem through the Spring developer platform. Additionally, Ripple wants to hire an engineer manager to help build the next generation of its XRP-powered cross-border payment solution, dubbed On-Demand Liquidity. So there you go, 3 new job openings at Ripple. I saw this from Stuart XRP here on Twitter at XRP_Stuart. And this is the world's first sovereign digitalized currency. The RMI intends to issue cryptocurrency, the SOV, as a second legal tender alongside the US dollar. So this was back from February 2018. But I thought it was interesting because it plays an important role in today's economy. The Republic of the Marshall Islands legislature passed a law making SOV a blockchain-based currency, the new legal tender. Stuart posts a video to that regard. Just going to go down here real quickly. So he's quoting this. So we're looking at maybe, 2020, 2021. That's when we're looking at when the SOV is going to be officially launched. So they announced it in February 2018. He goes on to say, so we're not going to really commit to a certain time frame because of with respect to the regulatory aspect. And that has been the narrative around the world. Okay, they have plans to release these cryptocurrencies, but it's all about global regulatory clarity, as I keep saying, and this is why we're not seeing these things being pushed sooner. But we know they're in the background. We know that they are ready to be implemented at the drop of a hat. And what's interesting about this particular CBDC is that it's the world's first sovereign digitalized currency. Is this a first step in what we could see to be a growing trend in sovereign currency, sovereign CBDCs? Well, the Bank for International Settlements posted this yesterday, and they said that the beer flu is a stress test for the operations and monetary policy frameworks of emerging market central banks, who may become dealers of last resort in domestic bond markets. I thought it was interesting that they mentioned the fact that this is the stress test, okay? This is that test case scenario for operations and monetary policy frameworks. This coming, again, from the Bank for International Settlements. To their point, XRP Crypto Wolf pointed this out. The World Economic Forum said blockchain and digitalization can help global supply chains survive crises like a global pandemic. Blockchain is the ideal technology to ensure data on performance and risk for supply chain finance transactions between financiers. Linking to this article here. So in a co-written blog post by WEF's head of digital trade, Xiang Fan, and Rebecca Liao, executive vice president of blockchain enterprise firm SkuChain, the authors said that this pandemic has forced many companies to grapple with their supply chains' unexpected fragility and prompted experts to reiterate the need to obtain more visibility across the chain. So traditionally, we've seen businesses and companies not really understanding where their products are coming from and just kind of knowing that I get them, they come to me, and I don't really know or care, in some cases, where they were before that. They say here they usually have little to no knowledge of suppliers further up the chain, and therefore little to no way of knowing of these unknowns and vulnerable to the disruption. And so this is what we're seeing today, right? Vulnerable to disruptions in the supply chain because of the global pandemic. This is hitting the world, and so the world is at this global pandemic's mercy. But with blockchain systems, they say it would give a broader access to relevant parties and also allow them to purchase supply chain data from their upstream suppliers. And blockchain is the ideal technology to ensure that data on performance and risk, which underpin all supply chain finance transactions, can be shared in an authenticated manner with financiers and other parties to transactions, even when there is no direct relationship between them. So again, to the point of world economies, blockchain technology helping businesses figure out how their workflow functions, and although not XRP related, very, very significant to the broader economy and cryptocurrency regulations, because we know there will be a coin that will be useful as a solution to said problems. This sounds like a smart contract issue to me, possibly Ethereum. So world economy is obviously at the mercy of the global pandemic. And the beer flu, of course, as stated by the Bank for International Settlements, is a stress test on operations and monetary policy. And so to the growing point, Matthew Liny posted this on Twitter, the new monetary and fiscal arrangements from the G7 on countering the slowdown of the global economy. Guys, everything is in place. I feel like in 2018 and in 2019, all the pieces of the puzzle were put in place. We've been setting this up for a couple of years now, and it was just a matter of cryptocurrency regulations coming to pass. So the technology is all there. Now we've encountered a global pandemic, and this is the perfect opportunity, in my opinion, and in many other people's opinions, to set this thing in motion and to just make it go. Well, here's some expert opinions, okay? New monetary and fiscal arrangements from the G7 on countering the slowdown for the global economy. So Matthew Liny points this out. He took a few screen grabs from this document, which I will link in the description, by the way. It is important to bear in mind that globalization was accompanied by financialization. That is, the permanent process of converting raw materials and commodity markets into financial markets. This process made the raw materials markets dependent to a certain extent on the dynamics of the exchange rate of the dollar relative to other currencies, the surplus of shortage of the dollar's liquidity, and the parameters of the monetary policy of the U.S. Federal Reserve System, the FRS, that has become the main emission center for the global currency of reserves and settlements. If that isn't a run-on sentence, I don't know what is. But grammar aside, I hope you guys get the gist of this. They're talking about the relationship between businesses and markets, how that has an effect on its value in relation to the dollar, and more importantly, the surplus or shortage of the dollar's liquidity and the parameters of the monetary policy of the U.S. Federal Reserve System. So let's keep going here. So for now, the world economic crisis has been suspended, but because every possible stimulating measure will be aimed at overcoming the 2020 recession, it is becoming inevitable. In the foreseeable future, the world will face serious and terrible non-evolutionary changes because the G7 elite are losing control over the information and digital space. Only those countries that are able to create their own world order, their own system of settlements, and control over information, financial and trade flows, and take part in founding a new system of global governance will be able to survive. Russia can also increase its influence considering its enormous resources and low debt. So here they're talking about G7 countries losing control over information and the digital space. G7 countries are at risk unless they use the technology at their disposal to create their own world order, as this article states here. They need their own system of settlement and control over information, financial, and trade flows, and take part in founding a new system of global governance. Now, a big part of that is going to have to do with money flows, transferring value across borders. Again, we already have the technology in place. It's been there from the beginning. All we need is the go-ahead. All we need is the cryptocurrency regulation to be clear. Finally, the last slide here, dollar obligations and debts are still there, but for assets supporting them have lost their value. For now, the global capital market has been shut down for the quarantine. International trade has abruptly stopped. Products are not being delivered nor being paid for in dollars. As a result, there is a shortage of goods in the market outside the US. This shortage is as much as $12 to $13 trillion worth. Funds are required to service current obligations and refinancing. Until the current crisis, FRS's transaction lines to support the exchange of dollars for national currencies has only been established with the G7 central banks, and they were obviously insufficient. To partially alleviate this problem, the FRS must open transaction lines with the central banks in the leading states. The global financial system will not be stabilized as long as there is a shortage of dollars in external markets. A critical takeaway here, which involves XRP, ODL in particular, is this. FRS's transaction lines to support the exchange of dollars for national currencies had only been established with the G7 central banks, and they were obviously insufficient. This is because there is too much money locked away, too much money that one cannot access at the moment. With XRP and ODL, this can be resolved. And finally, the global financial system will not be stabilized as long as there is a shortage of dollars in external markets. So the world is very dependent on money movement, on the flow of money moving from country to country with regards to trade, even just with regards to being able to get resources from one country to another in this type of case right now. We need to be able to have a better way, and it's available to us. It's there. It's sitting there, just waiting for that regulatory clarity. And despite the upward tick for cryptocurrencies and even for the regular stock market, this is looking promising right now. Again, guys, I have the S&P 500 here on the daily. It's looking promising, but I do not think this is going to last forever. I do think that even crypto might react if the stock market keeps going lower. That's not to say it will 100%, logic dictates that it shouldn't. However, if people are putting money in that they cannot afford to lock away, and they're riding, in quotes, riding the crypto market because they see an opportunity, and they eventually need the money to, cover margin calls or whatever it is, and they need to take out their money from the crypto market, that is what is causing them to rise and fall in tandem. Let's hope that that isn't the case. I still think we are going to see lower lows in the stock market. This is not going to rebound overnight. But the good news is the technology is available to be able to take on this global pandemic head on. As the Bank for International Settlements says, this is a stress test for the operations and monetary policy framework. And so how is the world going to react? Will they use XRP ODL? Will it take them a while? Are they going to push it through right away? I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.